talking about? Hello? You're only a couple of shades lighter than me. Like,
hey, how you doing? Today's episode is all about to the women who want to effortlessly lose weight. Now, I know you're looking at me and you're like, girl, and trust me, it is possible to effortlessly lose weight. And so many of us are, seeking that zone, that sweet spot where dieting just doesn't exist. Like you just be. And, people talk about, those magical unicorns where, their houses are always clean. And, if they take a recipe off Pinterest, it looks exactly the way it looks in the picture. Those people. I'm not one of those people. And I'm sure you're not one of those people either. But there is this sweet spot that you can hit so that you don't ever feel like you're dieting. You don't ever feel the deprivation. You don't ever feel like, you're going to the gym for the sake of going to the gym. So I want you to just really sit back and take a listen and think to yourself, like, what would it be like? Close your eyes and get into that state of what would it be like where you woke up and knew exactly what to do. Food, workout. You just were like one of those magical beings that, we've seen on the world, you've become that unicorn. So trust me, it's possible, but I ask for your patience. And I think that's where a lot of people, tap out, is that the patience is, I get it. I have the patience of a gnat. And, I recently saw a picture of myself from 2 years ago to a picture of myself from this year. And it's amazing the patience that I've had to really work through a lot of my, hormonal imbalances and thyroid issues. And, I was pretty surprised at like how much work has actually happened. It's moved at the speed of a glacier, but it's moving, right? I could sit around and wallow, or I could be taking these small chips away at this giant glacier. So I've put together a few tips to help you make weight loss effortless. And at the end of this episode, I do have 4 additional tips for alternatives to dieting that might interest you if this episode has piqued your interest any. So let's just start with the beast, meal planning. Meal planning slash meal prep, okay? They're both, for me, they're synonymous with each other because you have to sit down. I'm sorry. You have to sit down at least once a week and map out what are you going to eat. Because when I have a plan, I follow it, right? Versus, oh crap, it's Tuesday night. What are we going to eat? And you're like rifling through your refrigerator, you're rifling through your cupboard, where I just stay focused on the task. And I'm like, okay, it's Tuesday. I sat down on Sunday and I decided what's going to happen. I sat down on Sunday and I said, okay, where is everybody in the family? Am I cooking for just myself? Am I cooking for the whole tribe? Then it's like, is there any activities that are going on this week where there's going to be food? So I don't even have to think about having dinner prepared. Then I just sit down and I write. I'm a Pinterest person. One of my clients told me, she's like, Pinterest makes me crazy. There's too many like links that lead to nowhere. Agreed. But, I also now have a great board that's filled up with like recipes that I know my family likes, so that I can just go to and be like, all right, what's this quick and easy go to? Especially if I know I'm having a busy week, I can be like, all right, what's something I could get done in 30 minutes? Or what's something that I could double cook, that I could cook tonight, either have it for lunch or have it for the next night for dinner, right? So I'm not that meal prep planning kind of person who, sits down on Sunday and I'm in the kitchen for 4 hours. I ain't got that kind of time. Okay, correction. I don't want to have that kind of time. When I'm meal prepping, I'm also making my dinner. So I've got multiple things happening all at the same time, so I can get in and out of the kitchen in an hour. So that's something that's of interest to you. Do me a favor, hit me up and let me know. You can always reach me at my email, squadleader@fabfitsquad.com. And that way I can shoot you over some quick tips to make meal prep easy. But you gotta sit down and you gotta plan out your week. And I also have another, a friend who talks about modern day meal prep, where she she's making fresh things every few days. But it's not like, vats and vats of food. She makes things fresh each day so that she keeps up with her variety. She keeps up with the freshness of food, because that's one of the things I hear from people. Girl, I don't like leftovers, right? We don't like 3-day leftovers. I feel you. I get it. But, we all like time efficiency. So here's where we get efficient with our time. Now, the other thing, keep good food close. Now, I don't like to use the word good, but keep healthy food. That's what I'm going to change it to. Keep healthy food close. Now, it's really easy to load up the house with crap. And when crap's in the house, I'm going to eat it. And, I do believe in moderation, but for some of you, there's certain things that are just like your Achilles heel. For me, ice cream is my Achilles heel. So I don't buy ice cream. I will have ice cream out, and I don't put ice cream as off limits, but I know when I have it in my house, it's just going to be knocking on my door, being like, hey girl, hey girl, hey. And I don't want that temptation. So for me, I just don't buy it. And that way I'm not tempted. So I challenge you to, take out the foods that are always going to tempt you, or take out the foods that are your trigger foods, so that, you're not sitting on your kitchen counter and you're like, wait, hang on, I just started this bag and now it's empty. We all have had those moments where you're in the kitchen and you're like, one, don't remember how you got in the kitchen, and two, you remember opening the bag, but then you're somehow blacked out between the first handful and the last handful. So when I don't bring those foods into the house, I'm not tempted to have them. And, some people are like, well, I like a sweet treat. Fruit is your sweet treat. Think of the sweeter fruit. So pineapples, mangoes, grapes, berries, they're all nice and sweet fruits. You can buy them frozen, you can get them year round, so bananas, those are the kind of things that if you have, that sweet tooth, no one ever got fat eating too many bananas. And, the worst thing that ever happens if you eat too much fruit, you end up spending quality time in the bathroom. That's really the worst thing that happens when you eat too much fruit. So I really want you to think about, what are your triggers, and just keep those foods out of the house. Sleep. So many people struggle with this, and I get it. I totally know it. There was a few years ago that sleep just eluded me, and I was just the walking dead. Minus eating people's brains, but I was the walking dead. And so I totally get, when I don't sleep, I'm mainlining coffee and I'm mainlining sugary treats to just keep my energy up. So I challenge you to get at least try for 6 hours of sleep, because I'm going to give you a factoid here, is that if you sleep less than 5 hours, you can pack on the pounds, because your body is going to seek food for energy. And for those of you who are trying to lose weight, some of you might be trying to, build some muscle, your body is going to be in protective mode. And so what that looks like for those people who sleep less than 5 hours a night, your body's going to seek energy, right? It's going to seek energy. So it's going to seek quick fix food. So usually it's the sugary foods that give you that quick burst of energy, that quick hit. Then it's going to seek the caffeine, right? And then when you're also tired, you don't make good choices. You're like, I'm tired. I'm just going to eat what I'm going to eat because I'm tired. And then for those people who are trying to build muscle, there's no easy way for your body. Your body's just too tired. So even when you lift, your body's like, I have other energy systems in your body that need this energy versus giving it to your muscles. So I really want you to think about, how do you get in that quality sleep? I'm a big fan of having a bedtime. I'm a big fan of having rituals before you go to bed. So it's a way to signal your body that it's time to shut it all down. If you are someone who's, got a lot of thoughts going through your head before you go to bed, have a pen and paper next to your bed and just get it all out, write it all down, trying to I'll file it away and remember it for tomorrow. Stop that. Just get a pen and paper, just write it down, and then just, do your best to get back to sleep. Eat sitting down. I remember back in the day, my husband and I, when we first started living together, we had a galley kitchen. And so, it's like literally like 2 people wide. And we would come home from a long day and we would sit there, and there were 2 things that we would just sit there and eat standing up. We would eat peanuts, with the shells. Eat peanuts standing up. We would have like the trash barrel in front of us, and we would crack peanuts and talking about our day and just talking about, nothing, or cheese and crackers. And next thing you know, we'd have like a big block of cheese, and then like that big block of cheese is gone. And we would just sit there and just eat standing up. And then we'd be like, "Oh, are you hungry for dinner?" I'm not really hungry. And so we literally ate crap for dinner. So one of the challenges I put to my Facebook group last week in my Facebook group, I challenged them to eat every meal sitting down. That was step 1. Step 2 was to eat the meal not in pure silence, but if you're eating with your family, I want you to interact and talk. But if you were someone who was eating alone, or eat a lot of meals alone, I challenge you to like not have the TV on, or not have the the laptop on or the iPad on, and just be with the meal. Be present in the moment of eating the meal. Because when you're more present and you're more mindful of the meal, you're less likely to inhale the food and be like, wait, there was food on the plate, now there's crumbs. Like, what happened? Where if I, had the TV on and I had, I was doing stuff on the laptop and I was working, it's really easy for me to tune out that I'm eating. I'm just sometimes just eating to eat. Now, if you want to read a book, I can go there, but I'm trying to really get you to focus on sensing what's actually happening in the present moment while you're taking in food. The next piece is chill out, right? Just chill out. We can, so there are a lot of clients that I work with that their normal state is stress. They don't know how not to be a stress ball. They're like, stress, like that's just life. Like that is how I roll. I'm just stressed out all the damn time. And that stress it's a block, right? Your body is like always in that fight or flight mode. And our body hasn't, yes, we've evolved, but we haven't evolved. Your body is thinking like when you're stressed out and you're stressed about a work deadline, or you're stressed because you're stuck in traffic, or you're stressed because, a family member's sick, your body doesn't know the difference between that and there is a pterodactyl chasing you down, trying to eat you for dinner, right? So your body still is like pumping out the cortisol, the adrenaline to help you, sprint your way away from the danger, where the danger is here, right? There's no physical danger. I'm not going to be eaten by some type of animal. I'm not need to go out and sprint for my life, and your body doesn't know how to differentiate between those two. So I challenge you to chill out. And there's a study from University of California, San Francisco, and it says that they did a study between a group that were high stress and a group that experienced, little to like small periods of stress. And the group that had the high stress, they ate more sugar, and they had more belly fat, and they had higher cases of insulin resistance. So your stress affects your health, and when some people are like, oh, that's just like my life. No, that's how you choose to have your life be. So I challenge all of you who are like, that's just my life, to figure out some ways to de-stress, decompress, and don't just funnel it into exercise. Find something outside of exercise. I love exercise, don't get me wrong, but so many people, because if you take it too extreme in the exercise, that also can be a stressor to your body. So I want you to find something that's outside of exercise, one or other thing. I don't know, maybe you like to color, maybe you like to knit. I don't know what it is, but it's something that just helps you to just like take that deep, giant breath. The other thing is stay hydrated, right? So everyone, usually when I ask, people, I'm like, what do you need to work on? outside of meal prep and menu planning, they're like, oh God, if I could only drink more water, right? So we're chronically dehydrated. That's just who we are. But I tell you that the easiest way is to start kind of giving yourself little benchmarks throughout the day of when you start to eat ding dong, when you start to drink water. So I want you to think about most habits need a trigger, right? They need something that says now's the time to do it. So one of the things I've started, triggering myself is that I love coffee. It's my jam. And I have coffee every morning. So, but before I have that cup of coffee, I have a glass of water. So then if I want a second cup of coffee, I have another glass of water. So that typically I have 2 glasses of water before I start my day. The other thing I do is I keep a bottle of water in my bathroom so that when I'm getting dressed, I'm drinking the bottle of water while I'm in the bathroom. Now, does it have to be, it can be a glass flask, it could be whatever. I mean, not a glass flask, because you don't want glass in your bathroom. It could be one of those stainless steel, water bottles, but I keep it in my bathroom so that way I can drink it while I get dressed in the morning. And I have another study for you that they had, this is coming out of Virginia Tech. They had people drink 2 8-ounce glasses of water before every meal that they eat, and they lost on average 15 pounds over 3 months. So basically what that's telling you is that for the most part, what we know is that most people confuse hunger with thirst. And so I might eat more or more frequently when I'm thirsty. So I always, ask my clients to, when they feel like they're snacking too much, to have a glass of water or have a glass of tea or cup of tea. Yeah, it's called a cup of tea. Have a cup of tea because the warmth is more filling in your stomach, and that will help you to realize, are you truly dehydrated or are you just seeking food? Breakfast right now, I know it's a toss up for a lot of people because right now we have this whole intermittent fasting thing, but I want to challenge you, for those of you who are still eating breakfast or whatever your first meal of the day is, I want you to focus on having protein in that first meal. Here in America, we've been traditionally raised to have, cereal or waffles or muffins, more of the carbohydrate type breakfast than protein, right? We're a grab and go society. Okay. We're getting up, we're racing out the door. And if I can't eat it while I drive or eat it while I'm on, the commuter rail or whatever, it's a challenge for me to even have breakfast, right? So why do you think, breakfast bars and smoothies and all that other stuff are so popular? Because it's something I can eat on the go, on the fly. But I challenge you to put protein into your breakfast. And when I say protein, I'm talking at least 20 to 30 grams. And, I want you to, there's a lot of products out there that talk about, we have protein. And then when you flip it over and you look at, what's actually going on in the package, it's like, 10 grams? What? I want you to think about a chicken breast, right? We've all had chicken. A chicken breast has roughly 20 to 30 grams of protein, depending on the serving size. So that's where I want you to focus on, when you're having protein for breakfast, it's 20 to 30 grams of breakfast, 20 to 30 grams of protein. And so what does that roughly break out to? So that's a cup of cottage cheese. That's a cup of plain Greek yogurt. That's smoked salmon. That's eggs. That is a quality protein shake, can get you at least, 18 to 20 grams of protein. A protein pancake, the same thing. So I want you to really think, how can I get at least 20 to 30 grams of protein? Because protein is blood sugar stabilizing, and it's also satiating. Protein will stick with you. Where, I want you to think about when you have that muffin and a coffee for breakfast, how How much time goes by? That's what I'm trying to say. How much time goes by before you're like, so what's for lunch? What's the next thing on the menu? Okay. So focus on protein. So when when I ask my clients to put together a meal, I want you to, like, it starts with the protein. Is like, that's the first piece, and then we can move to the carb, then we can move to the fruit, then we can move to the good fat. But most people will start with the carb and then and end there, right? And then they'll be like, oh, I can't have carbs because I'm off carbs. That'll be another chapter in this saga that we'll talk about all the foods people are afraid to have. And I challenge you to have at least 1 pound of vegetables every single day. Now, most of you are like, what? At the end of the day, it's really not that much. So I tell people, if it breaks out to roughly about 4 cups of vegetables. And it could be any vegetable. And what I find when I put my clients on these 4 cups of vegetables, they have less cravings, they stay fuller longer, and they get quality sleep, and they have more energy. Now, part of that, I feel it's because of the fiber. And if you choose fibrous veggies, so, I get this question all the time, what are fibrous veggies? So it's not cucumbers and it's not peppers. So fibrous veggies are cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, carrots, parsnips. I struggle sometimes to come up with these kind of things off the top of my head. But those are like your basic fibrous vegetables. I want you to think of vegetables that are like hearty. Like a cucumber is mainly water. So that's just going to like blow right through you. But I want you to think of like, what can I have that's hearty vegetables? So think like green leafy vegetables that have like the stalks. Because that's where the fiber lives, is in the stalk. And that stalk is good for you for, 1, makes you feel full. 2, helps clean out your pipes, if you know what I'm saying when I talk about your pipes. So that part of the vegetable helps everything come together. It's also good for your gut. There's a lot of great micronutrients in vegetables. And so think, getting in at least 4 cups of vegetables every single day. Limit your faux foods. I feel like this isn't as prevalent as it was like in like the late 80s or early 90s when everything was like fat free and free of this and free of that. I feel like we've become a little bit more educated, but I still see some like faux foods floating around that I want you to really take stock of. I believe in food should be 2 things, right? It should be satisfying. So that's in my head. I see a food and I'm mentally satisfied. The second piece is satiating. So when I eat it, does it keep me full? And how long does it keep me full? So those are the 2 criteria that I want for food. So when I see a lot of these faux foods, so I'm talking the faux protein ice creams, the faux protein muffins, the faux, those kind of faux foods. That's what I'm talking about. I'd rather you have the real thing, because it'll be more satisfying in your up here, and it'll be more satisfying in your gut. And just have have good portion control around it. And leads to the whole moderation thing. And I did a whole show on moderation, and I'll link that up in the show notes. But it's all about moderation. And I want you to like trust yourself, so that you're not like, oh, I could have this whole pint of blah blah blah, or I could have a scoop and feel really satisfied, right? So I want you to think about the portion versus like the smaller portion of like quality ice cream versus the whole pint of like, it tastes okay ice cream. Okay. Pick your battles. I hear so many times, like I taught a class and I talked about booze before Memorial Day. I talked about booze before Memorial Day. So let's just say I wasn't their favorite instructor that day. And, depending on your goal, if you're someone who's like, I want to lose weight, I want to lose body fat, you have to decide between booze and dessert. Now, I'm never going to be that person that says, no, 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 you can't have, your favorite glass of Kim Crawford. You can't have your favorite creme brulee. I'm never going to say that to anyone. But what I'm going to say is, you have to look at your goal. And if your goal is to lose fat or your goal is to lose weight, you can't have both. You have to pick and choose. Are you going to have the nice glass of wine, or are you going to have the nice dessert? And that's life, right? I really wish I could change your physiology. I really wish I could change the law of nature, because my job would be easy, but it ain't. So I can't change that. So I challenge you to pick your battles when it comes to that particular battle between dessert or booze. Okay. All of these tips are great. And if you want to expand on it, I have another 4 different alternatives to dieting, and you can find it at bit.ly/alternatives4. So you can find that there. And again, I'll put the link in the show notes as well. But the key here is all about hormonal balance, and everything I talked about over this last episode is all about how do you get your hormones in balance? How do you keep the things in check? Because when my hormones are in balance, I'm that magical unicorn. I'm like rocking and rolling. It's when things are out of balance that I'm craving, I'm looking, I'm seeking, I'm trying to do all these different things. And all of the tips and tricks I gave you right now are all about how do you manage your hunger, your energy, and your cravings so you can keep everything in balance and check. It's like Jenga. Everything has to be in its place or it all falls apart. So if that sounds like something that you want to work on, definitely, give one of these a try. Hit me up on the socials and let me know which one you plan on trying. I have enjoyed this conversation. I hope you have. Please be sure to let me know what you think. I love to keep the conversation going. You can find me at Kim Jefferson Coach on Instagram.